Hey everyone, welcome back to another deep dive. You've been spending some time with the world of finance and tech lately, and we're here to help make sense of it all. Specifically, we're taking a closer look at Raoul Pal's predictions for the future of wealth. He's been in the finance world for decades, so his insights are worth paying attention to say the least. And one of the things he's been talking about is how those traditional paths to building wealth, like real estate and the stock market, well, they just aren't working as well as they used to. So, how do you build wealth in a world that's changing this fast? Let's dig into it.
Pal doesn't waste any time getting to the point. He says we've got about 6 years before the whole game changes. He thinks those old ways of building wealth are failing. Savings get eaten up by inflation, which is running at a crazy 11% a year right now. And the returns on the S&P 500 and real estate just aren't what they used to be. It's like the old playbook is out of date.
Makes you think twice about those traditional financial strategies for sure. What about you? Have you noticed this shift yourself? Are you worried about your savings keeping up with the cost of living?
It's a worry a lot of people have. Pal says many are hanging on to those old methods while a whole new system is emerging. And his solution? Cryptocurrency. Specifically, he's bullish on Bitcoin as a way to build wealth, even if you're starting with a small amount.
Cryptocurrency. It's been making headlines for a while now, but for those who might be a bit hesitant, what makes Pal so confident about it for the long haul?
He sees it as something truly revolutionary, not just some get-rich-quick scheme. He talks about the potential for huge growth with Bitcoin. Historically, it's returned around 150% per year. And he highlights the fact that it's decentralized, meaning it's not controlled by governments or central banks. Now, he's not ignoring the volatility. He even says there's a chance it could drop 60% or even 70% at some point. But his advice: invest only what you're comfortable losing, expect the ups and downs, and use dollar cost averaging over time to manage that risk.
So ride those waves and keep your eyes on the long-term horizon. It's really interesting how he connects this tech to the whole idea of wealth creation. But it's not just about crypto, right? He also talks about the impact of AI and automation.
Right on. He sees crypto as one part of this massive tech shift that's happening all around us. And AI and automation are leading the charge. He uses this great example of Uber drivers in Manhattan. Imagine a future where almost every car on the street is a professional driver. Very few people are driving themselves to work anymore. It's a glimpse into a world where automation has taken over.
Feels like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, what jobs in your own life could be changed by AI? Does that excite you, or are you a little nervous about it all?
It's a question we all need to be thinking about. And Powell takes it even further. He suggests that humanity is actually splitting into two separate species, those who embrace tech and those who push back against it.
Two different species. That's a pretty wild idea. What makes him think that?
He points to advancements like Neuralink brain implants as examples. On the one hand, you've got this potential for humans to enhance themselves, merging with technology in ways we could barely dream of a few decades ago. But on the other hand, there are people who might choose to stay unplugged. They might be wary of all this new tech.
Makes you think about the future of humanity in a whole new light. Is he right? Are we headed towards a world where some humans merge with tech and others go a different route?
It definitely challenges us to think about what kind of future we want to build and what role technology will play in that future. It's a conversation that goes way beyond money and investing. It's about the essence of being human in the 21st century.
Definitely a lot to unpack there. This idea of two paths for humanity is both fascinating and a little bit unsettling. But let's bring it back down to earth for a second. If things really are changing this fast, what can we do to navigate it all? Not just survive, but actually thrive.
Powell really stresses the importance of adaptability and always being ready to learn. He says the stuff we learned in school might not even be relevant in a decade or two. Things are moving so fast that we have to become lifelong learners, constantly picking up new skills and embracing new technologies.
It's almost like you have to be okay with being uncomfortable.
Right.
Embracing the unknown and being open to change. But how do you even start preparing for a future where the rules are constantly changing?
Powell says the key is to figure out what you're really good at and find ways to use those strengths in this new environment. He uses this analogy of a window cleaner who builds a successful business. But then he realizes the real opportunity is in teaching others how to do it. He scales his knowledge and builds a system that helps both himself and others.
That's a great point. It's not just about mastering a skill, it's about finding ways to multiply it. Whether it's teaching mentoring or building systems, it's understanding that knowledge and the ability to share it Those are the most valuable things in this new world.
Exactly. And on a bigger scale, Pal talks about the importance of identifying and riding these big secular trends. These are the movements that can completely reshape entire industries.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But figuring out those trends before everyone else jumps on board can be tricky.
Yeah.
How does Pal suggest we spot them?
He says to look for trends that are big, meaningful, and backed up by data. We're talking about shifts that could disrupt whole industries, not just some passing fad. He says it's not just about gut feeling, it's about doing your research, analyzing the data, and looking for evidence that supports your hunch.
Sounds like a mix of analytical thinking and a willingness to experiment. Being open to new ideas, paying attention to what's going on in the world and taking calculated risks.
Yeah.
But while we're busy adapting and evolving, Pal doesn't forget about taking care of ourselves in the middle of all this change, does he?
Definitely not. He's a big believer in keeping a healthy balance between work and personal life. He recognizes that burnout is a real danger in a world that's always demanding our attention. He even talks about how important it is psychologically to have a safe and comfortable place to live, a space where you can truly relax and recharge.
It's easy to get caught up in the hustle, always striving for more. But we sometimes neglect those things that truly bring us peace and make us feel fulfilled. It's good to remember to prioritize those parts of our lives that bring us joy and help us through tough times. What else does Pal suggest for staying well amidst all this change?
He places a lot of value on experiences. He thinks experiences are the real currency in a digital world where everything else is losing its value. He talks about his own travels to far-off places, disconnecting from technology and immersing himself in nature. He finds that these kinds of experiences help him reconnect with what really matters, giving him a sense of perspective that's easy to lose in our busy lives.
It's about getting out of our comfort zones, seeking out new perspectives, and challenging ourselves both physically and mentally. But those experiences don't have to be some big, extravagant adventure, do they?
Not at all. He emphasizes that it's about finding what resonates with you personally, whether it's exploring a new city, picking up a new skill, or just spending quality time with people you care about. The key is to make those experiences a priority. Make them a deliberate part of your life, not just something you squeeze in when you have a spare moment.
It's a good reminder that chasing wealth shouldn't come at the cost of our well-being or the things that truly make our lives richer. But speaking of wealth, we've touched on traditional investments like the S&P 500 and real estate, and we've talked about Pal's view on cryptocurrencies. He also digs into the financial system itself, particularly this concept of currency debasement.
He does. He argues that understanding currency debasement is absolutely crucial in today's economy. Basically, it's how governments and central banks can decrease the purchasing power of money by just printing more of it. Think of it like diluting a precious metal with a cheaper one. Too much of something makes it less valuable.
So like inflation, but on a bigger scale. The more money they print, the less each dollar is worth. Why would governments do that on purpose? Why would they want to devalue their own currency?
Powell suggests it's often done to deal with government debt. By printing more money, they can make their debt worth less, making it easier to pay back. Of course, it comes with the downside.
Seems like a risky move. What are the consequences for regular people when their savings are constantly being chipped away by these financial maneuvers?
It can erode trust in the currency, reduce people's buying power, and potentially even destabilize the economy. People might see their savings buy less and less over time, leading to financial anxiety. This is where Powell circles back to his argument for alternative assets, especially those outside the traditional system.
So his belief in crypto as a way to protect yourself from this kind of manipulation.
Yeah.
He sees it as a potential safeguard because it operates independently from governments and central banks.
Exactly. Cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, with its limited supply, offer some protection against currency debasement. They're decentralized and operate on a system that's transparent and resistant to manipulation by any single entity.
It really makes you think differently about money and its role in our lives. It encourages us to consider alternative systems and be more proactive about managing our finances, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Powell's main message is that the world is changing fast and we have to adapt. We need to be open to new ideas, embrace technology, and commit to lifelong learning. It's about being proactive, not reactive, taking control of our financial future and not relying solely on systems that might not have our best interests at heart in the long run. But as we dig deeper into Powell's ideas, there's another concept that keeps popping up: blockchain technology.
Blockchain. It's usually mentioned alongside cryptocurrencies, but it seems to have much broader implications. What exactly is blockchain and why does Pal think it's so transformative?
Blockchain is the tech behind cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. But its potential uses go way beyond just digital currencies. It's essentially a digital ledger, a record of transactions that's distributed across a network of computers. This distributed nature is what makes it so secure and transparent.
So imagine a public record of every Bitcoin transaction ever made that's virtually unhackable because it's spread across so many computers. That's a powerful idea.
Hmm.
But how does that translate into uses beyond tracking crypto transactions?
That's where things get really interesting because blockchain offers this incredibly secure and transparent way to record and verify information. It can be used in a huge variety of industries. Pal sees it as a fundamental technology that could revolutionize everything from supply chains and healthcare to voting systems and intellectual property.
Wow. So it could disrupt almost every aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
How does Pal see this playing out in the future?
He believes blockchain can help create more efficient, transparent, and secure systems that benefit everyone. For example, imagine a supply chain where every product's origin and journey is meticulously tracked on a blockchain, guaranteeing authenticity and ethical sourcing. Or picture a healthcare system where patient records are safely stored and shared on a blockchain, eliminating errors and improving patient care.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Mm.
But it's clear that blockchain is a force to be reckoned with. It's a technology we all need to understand because it's likely to have a huge impact on our lives in the years to come. And this deep dive with Raoul Pal has given us a lot to think about, hasn't it?
It certainly has. We've covered so much ground, from the changing landscape of wealth and the rise of cryptocurrencies to the potential impact of AI, the importance of lifelong learning, and the transformative power of blockchain. It's a lot to digest.
Absolutely. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Let's pause here and continue this deep dive in part 3. We'll explore Pal's insights on the future of work, the challenges and opportunities of artificial intelligence, and the importance of prioritizing experiences in a world that's increasingly focused on material possessions.
we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Raoul Pal's predictions. We've talked about the changing world of wealth, the rise of cryptocurrencies, AI's potential impact, and the power of blockchain. But there's one more big piece of the puzzle we haven't really explored: the future of work.
It's definitely a topic that's causing some anxiety, especially with AI and automation advancing so quickly. A lot of people are worried about robots taking their jobs.
So what's Pal's take on this? How does he see the world of work changing with all this new tech?
He acknowledges that job displacement is a real concern. We're on the cusp of a major shift in how we work, he thinks. A lot of those traditional jobs, especially the ones with repetitive tasks, are probably going to be automated in the next few years. But instead of freaking out, he wants us to see it as a chance to redefine what work even means.
To rethink the idea of a job. Maybe even move away from that classic 9-to-5 grind. But if robots are going to be doing a lot of the jobs humans do now, how do we prepare? What skills should we be focusing on to stay relevant in this new world?
Pal says it's all about those uniquely human skills that machines can't easily copy. Things like creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, emotional intelligence, and building strong relationships. These are the skills that will set us apart in a world where machines can handle the boring stuff.
It's funny how those soft skills are suddenly becoming the most valuable assets in the workplace. It's not just about technical know-how anymore. It's about those human qualities that are hard to program into a machine. But developing those skills is just one part of it, right? We also have to be flexible and embrace lifelong learning.
Exactly. Powell really emphasizes being okay with discomfort, being open to the unknown, and being willing to constantly learn and grow throughout our careers. The jobs of the future might not even exist yet, so we need to be ready to adapt and pick up new skills as the landscape shifts around us.
Almost like we need to become entrepreneurs of our own careers, constantly looking for new opportunities, improving our skills, and adapting to the changing market. It takes a certain mindset, a willingness to get out of our comfort zones and embrace uncertainty.
It does. But while Powell recognizes the challenges of AI and automation, he also sees the potential for them to create new opportunities and improve our lives in so many ways. It's not all doom and gloom.
So there's a bright side to this tech revolution. What are some of the positive things he sees happening?
He believes AI could actually help us solve some of the world's biggest problems, things like climate change, disease, poverty, and inequality. Imagine AI-powered systems that can analyze huge amounts of data and find patterns and solutions that we humans might miss. It could also free us up from those tedious tasks, giving us more time for creativity, personal growth, and building deeper connections with others.
It's about finding ways to use tech for good while managing the potential risks and challenges. It's a balancing act, but one with a lot of promise for the future. And in the midst of all this talk about tech and disruption, Powell reminds us that human connection and experiences are still what matters most.
Absolutely. He encourages us to prioritize the things that really make life worth living, spending time with loved ones, following our passions, exploring the world, and making a positive impact. These are the things that bring us joy and fulfillment, the things that tech can enhance but never replace.
It's a powerful message, a reminder that even in a world increasingly driven by technology, we need to hold on to what makes us human. It's about finding that balance between embracing tech's potential and nurturing the things that give our lives meaning and connection.
Well said. And as we wrap up our deep dive into Raoul Pal's predictions, we're left with a sense of both excitement and urgency. The world is changing fast, and we need to be prepared to adapt and evolve. But we also need to remember what truly matters, our connections, our experiences, and the impact we have on the world.
It's a call to action. It's a reminder that we have the power to shape our own future and create a world that's both technologically advanced and deeply human. We hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought and inspired you to take action. Remember, the future is what we make it. Let's make it a good one.